You may have seen headlines like these saying our LLM costs $1 bajillion to train and wondered why it's so ridiculously expensive to train LLMs. And yet, calling one, so inference in comparison, is actually pretty cheap. You've probably heard the answer they train on a lot of data, but a lot of data alone doesn't explain why training costs hundreds to millions or billions of dollars. So, for example, GPT-5 was allegedly trained on about 50 trillion tokens, and running batch inference on that many tokens would cost a measly $50 million. But Sam Altman said that training the model costs $1 to $2 billion. So, why is training 20 times more expensive than inference? One of the biggest drivers here is memory. During inference, all you really need to store is the model's weights, so the parameters that define how it behaves. But during training, weights are actually only a small fraction of what's being stored. You also need to store the gradients, which track how each parameter should change, and optimizer state, which determines how strongly to apply those changes, and activations, which store every intermediate input and output inside of the model. And all of this compounds such that the exact same model on the exact same input can require about 10 times more memory during training than during inference, which means 10 times more cost. And it gets worse. After the model runs inference during training, it has to run something called backpropagation, which computes how every parameter should be updated to improve future answers. And on top of that, to avoid overfitting, training runs take many examples in parallel and run them, which is extremely memory hungry and often increases the memory requirements by another exponential factor. So, what starts as just running the model quickly becomes this massive distributed system where the model is split across tens of thousands of GPUs. And the model is constantly updating billions of parameters based on trillions of tokens. So, all of this combined turns training into an absolute monster. And suddenly, that $2 billion price tag goes from sounding absolutely insane to surprisingly reasonable or even cheap, considering how much information is being processed and transformed into intelligence.